Thanks for joining us on the CBN News Channel. I'm Heather Sells.
And I'm Ephraim Graham. The people of Japan are on edge as workers battle to gain control of the nation's nuclear crisis. Workers are preparing to return after a dangerous surge in radiation forced them to leave before they could cool down one of the crippled reactors. Meanwhile, a 6.0 aftershock in northeast Japan was felt all the way in Tokyo, where millions of people are still on edge. The last line of defense at the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant is growing even thinner. For a short time, the 50 workers kept on to help prevent a nuclear meltdown had to be sent away.
The worst case scenarios are starting to unfold. The radiation levels are getting so high that the workers can't stay there.
Radiation levels continue to fluctuate, but authorities are widening the evacuation zone, and 140,000 people who live near the facilities are moving to the city of Koriyama. They arrive by the busload, tired and frustrated.
I really hope that we can go back to our house as soon as possible and to live ordinary life.
In the same city, fear of radiation exposure has some people lining up to be tested at a gymnasium. This woman says, "I was so nervous until I got the result. It was fine, and now I feel relieved. If there had not been a nuclear accident, I would not need to get tested or have had such a frightening experience. I'm angry." In Tokyo, 150 miles away, people are wearing radiation badges and buying everything in sight. Radiation fears are also hampering relief efforts to the worst affected areas. Ken Joseph is with the Japan emergency team in Sendai.
Just now, the different countries have started to evacuate their people because of the threat of radiation. So people are apparently afraid to come in to help. There's a great bit of discouragement and fear here that everything's kind of happening at the same time.
Even though Japan's nuclear crisis is thousands of miles away, some people here in the U.S. are buying supplies to protect themselves. But doctors say they should not worry about radiation getting this far.
When people overreact, they do things that don't make sense. And in this case, stockpiling medication does not make sense.
CBN's Operation Blessing is in the Sendai area distributing food and water. The ministry's David Darg drove from Tokyo to Sendai Tuesday, a journey made all the more perilous by the nuclear fallout. He writes about the experience on his blog at the Operation Blessing webpage. "We started to head north toward the epicenter, and as we were choosing our route, news of yet another reactor explosion made it very clear that we had to steer clear of that area. We listened to the radio to try and get updates on the nuclear situation, and at one point on the journey, we were parallel to the reactors, only 60 kilometers to the east of us. It was and still is very nerve-wracking." David will be on today's 700 Club to talk more about Operation Blessing's work in Japan. You can keep up to date on all the ministry's work in the quake zone right here on the CBN News Channel.
Experts say the amount of radiation released in Japan doesn't come close to matching the levels from Chernobyl, the nuclear disaster that killed thousands of people in Ukraine. But that message hasn't lowered the fear factor for millions of Japanese. As John Wagi explained, doctors around the world are trying to help ease those fears.
As people in northern Japan line up for radiation screening, many say the nuclear fear is greater than killer waves and shaking buildings. This woman says, "If they test me, I will be relieved."
People are very scared of radiation because they can't see it.
Professor Bill McBride heads UCLA's Centers for Countermeasures Against Radiation program. He says medical advances in treating radiation victims are showing promise.
We have actually very encouraging kind of data with some of these compounds, which suggests that, we can actually take someone who has been exposed to radiation and treat them.
Symptoms of radiation sickness include nosebleeds, vomiting blood, blistered skin, hair loss, a higher risk of cancer, and genetic mutations that can be passed to the next generation. Oncologists are working on medicines that clean radiation from the blood, as well as agents that stimulate the body's immune system. The combination of earthquakes and a tsunami have caused the radiation fear in Japan, but experts around the world are also concerned about nuclear terrorism. For years, Israel's Home Front Command has held emergency drills to prepare the nation for nuclear, biological, and chemical attack by hostile nations or terrorists.
Certainly, there is the possibility of terrorist incidents with radiation, these kind of nuclear accidents and so on.
While the threats of radiation mount, doctors hope to ease the fears of those affected. And the fears have spread across the Pacific as some stores in Northern California run out of iodine, the most famous radiation treatment.
Definitely heard that it's something that's going to help protect our thyroid from possible radiation. And with the trade winds coming in, that they're, could be up here potentially in 5 to 7 days.
I think it's important for people to realize that radiation exposure is not a death sentence. Even whenever you get into doses of radiation which cause clinical symptoms, I think there's still a lot that we can do.
John Waggy, CBN News.
We've learned that a missionary from Quebec is among the earthquake victims in Japan. Andre LaChapelle was a member of the Society of Foreign Missionaries. The 76-year-old was about 15 miles from the coastal community where he served when the quake hit. He immediately left and went to reach them, even though his colleagues urged him not to go. The tsunami hit just as he arrived. LaChapelle's body was found outside of his car. Medical examiners have determined that he suffered from a heart attack. For ongoing coverage of the situation in Japan, log on to the CBN News channel at our website, cbnnews.com.
I want to turn now to the political battles in Washington. Pro-life groups are upset the House has voted not to take away funding for Planned Parenthood. House Republicans have chosen again not to stage a budget standoff with Democrats in the Senate. Instead, they passed another short-term bill to keep the government running for another 3 weeks. Here's CBN's chief political correspondent David Brody with the latest.
The battle over the budget and abortion is proving to be a fiery mix on Capitol Hill. A month ago, House Republicans moved to eliminate the $350 million federal dollars Planned Parenthood receives because of questionable tactics by some of the agency's workers. Representatives made their action part of a bill to fund the government through September. But there has been no agreement with Senate Democrats, so now the House has had to pass 2 short-term bills to keep the government running. Those moves, called continuing resolutions, have not included the part about defunding Planned Parenthood. House Speaker John Boehner told me recently that he's not going to give the Democrats a rallying cry over a hot-button social issue.
We're not going to take any big chances on the fact that they're looking for an excuse to shut down the government. Harry Reid, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, they've been rooting for a government shutdown. We do not want to give them an excuse to do that.
While Boehner seems determined to take away Planned Parenthood's federal help in the long term, pro-life groups want that money taken away now in the latest resolution, which would fund the government another 3 weeks.
You're not playing around.
We don't. It's really not a game. And the leadership doesn't consider it a game either. But there are a lot of people who want a lot of things out of this CR, and there's nothing more fundamental and important than life.
Pro-life groups say the failure to fund Planned Parenthood shows that the House is not serious about cutting spending. Meanwhile, Planned Parenthood supporters are on the Hill, lobbying hard to keep the funding in. It's a serious fight that may not get resolved for a while. David Brody, CBN News, Washington.
Tea Party members are accusing House Republicans of, quote, kicking the can down the road. The coordinator of the Tea Party Patriots issued a statement saying this is weak incrementalism in a time when we need bold and visionary leadership from Congress and the president.
Democrats in the House and Senate are announcing legislation to overturn the Defense of Marriage Act today. DOMA, signed by President Clinton back in 1996, defines marriage as between one man and one woman. Gay marriage supporters want to see it overturned, and President Obama says he won't defend it in court. Last week, House Speaker John Boehner said he'll launch a legal defense of DOMA.
The King of Bahrain has declared a 3-month state of emergency and instructed the military to battle unrest in the strategic nation. Witnesses and state TV say at least 4 people were killed when police stormed a protesters' encampment in the capital. Protesters are demanding political reforms and equal rights for the majority Shiites. This Arabic protest sign declares our will is stronger than bullets. Thousands demonstrated in the capital outside the Saudi embassy, protesting 1,000 Saudi-led troops brought in to support Bahrain's government. While visiting Egypt, Secretary of State Hillary Clinton called for restraint on all sides in Bahrain.
We call for calm and restraint on all sides. In Bahrain, we're particularly concerned about increasing reports of provocative acts and sectarian violence by all groups. The use of force and violence from any source will only worsen the situation.
Bahrain is of strategic importance to the U.S. It hosts the U.S. Navy's Fifth Fleet.
Israel says it intercepted a ship carrying a large number of weapons heading for the Gaza Strip. Iran and Syria reportedly tried to send the weapons to Palestinian militants. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu ordered the takeover last night based on intelligence reports. Officials seized 3 containers of weapons. Israel has maintained a naval blockade of Gaza since Hamas seized power nearly 4 years ago.
An al-Qaeda terrorist has been sentenced to death for the murder of an American teacher in West Africa. Gunmen killed Christopher Leggett in the capital of Mauritania, not far from the school that he helped to run. They said he was trying to convert Muslims. The court convicted 3 men of the crime, but only the plotter received the death sentence.
Coming up, he sacrificed to help others. Now see the extreme home makeover that's changing the lives of a missionary pilot and his family.
Have you ever had an idea for an invention or new product? Bill Schaefer, one of the inventors of Wham-O's new Splash Wash, did. He came up with the idea while watching his children play one hot summer afternoon. Bill invented a car wash for kids. Ride through it, run through it. InventHelp submitted the Splash Wash to Wham-O, the makers of childhood favorites like the Frisbee, Hula Hoop, and Slip and Slide. If you have an invention you would like to try to patent and submit to corporations and want free information that explains how InventHelp may be able to assist you, call now. InventHelp is America's largest invention company with sales offices in over 50 cities nationwide. Call InventHelp today for free information. Bill Schaefer made a financial gain on the Splash Wash. However, most inventions are not successful, and Bill's experience is not typical of what inventors can expect.
For your free inventor's information, call 1-800-260-7793. That's 1-800-260-7793.
I've fallen and I can't get up. I need help.
When you are home alone and have a bad fall where you cannot move, you are stuck in a very limited area. If you cannot reach a phone, you may lay helpless on the floor for hours or days, which can result in permanent incapacitation or death.
This waterproof pendant is my magic wand. To some of the paramedics, fire department, police, or my doctor, it contacts Life Alert.
When you have a heart attack like I did, and there's no one there, Life Alert was there for me. I couldn't handle the alternative of going to a nursing home.
Thanks to Life Alert, you can live alone without ever being alone. And that's why I wear one.
New Life Alert Classic for seniors or Life Alert 50+.
Please call 1-800-586-0025 for a free brochure about Life Alert. That's 1-800-586-0025. Call us toll-free now at 1-800-586-0025. That number again, 1-800-586-0025.
The government of Malaysia will release 35,000 Malay language Bibles held up by custom officials. Authorities blocked distribution of the scriptures because they use the word Allah for God. Last year, a court ruling gave Christians the right to use the word Allah in their printed materials. But the government is challenging that ruling because it says it will be confusing for Muslims. The Bible will be stamped for Christians only to prevent anyone from trying to convert Muslims.
About a year ago, Joe and Cindy Hurston returned from a missionary trip only to find their home flooded because of a broken pipe.
Unable to make the repairs, the Hurstons lived in a small camper for 6 months, but they stayed focused on their ministry, providing water to the desperate people of Haiti. And then ABC's Extreme Makeover showed up. The story comes to us from freelance producer Cindy Corbett and videographer Jay Brewer.
One of television's most popular shows put a missionary pilot in the spotlight. The ABC television program Extreme Home Makeover chose the Joe Hurston family after severe water damage to their original home forced them to live in a trailer. But their personal problems were quickly overshadowed by the January 2010 Haiti earthquake. The Hurstons made the choice to forgo their own needs to help the people of Haiti. Fixing their own house would have to wait.
This is the most devastating disaster we've ever seen. And we could do something about it. We speak the language, we know the route. So we focused everything we had to try to help the people in Haiti.
And, what carried us through was really keeping our mind on, and our heart set on, hearing Jesus say, I was thirsty and you gave me to drink.
Bringing life-giving water to disaster victims in Haiti and around the world has been their mission for the past 6 years. An ingenious device has enabled Joe to meet the needs of tens of thousands with just one small airplane.
Water is heavy. I fly little airplanes, so I can't carry very much water, couldn't do very much good. But then one day I encountered a remarkable inventor and a dear friend of mine who invented an incredible technology that we have since developed and built into a very powerful portable water purification system.
The unit can produce up to 25 gallons of pure water an hour. And so far, Hurston has placed over 700 of these water purification systems in 38 countries. That life-saving work is the reason Extreme Home Makeover, along with 3,000 volunteers, decided to build the Hurstons a brand new home. They tore down the old house and built them a new one, working around the clock for 6 straight days. The show also updated navigational instruments on the Air Mobile Ministry plane, convinced Bank of America to provide a $100,000 grant for the Hurstons' work, and found full college scholarships for the 3 Hurston children, 2 of whom were adopted from Haiti.
The outpouring of love and cooperation that we have had has been staggering.
It's more than just the material belongings we were given. It is just an incredible force of love, which is empowering us to get back out there in the mission field and share water and share the love of Christ with others.
The exposure for the Hurstons in their ministry is opening many new opportunities and reminds them of a Bible promise.
I'd like people to know that the Lord is watching them. He sees all the hard work.
That's right.
He wants to remind us to not grow weary in doing good because He's got a harvest for us in the right time.
Wendy Griffith, CBN News.
Up next, he is Virginia's last line of defense against the federal government, and he's itching for a fight.
Starting a garden doesn't have to be backbreaking. Not when you have the Mantis Tiller Cultivator. It does all the hard work for you. The Mantis Tiller weighs about 20 pounds. It's easy for anyone to handle. 3 convenient power options spin the patented tines deep into the soil. They dig down, cutting through the hardest clay and tangled weeds. They're so tough, they're actually guaranteed never to break. And on our 2-cycle model, Mantis offers the fast start engine option. It's our easiest starting 2-cycle tiller ever. Tilling, weeding, and cultivating have never been easier. And now you can get this amazing Mantis Tiller Cultivator at huge savings. Order now, and we'll include a kickstand accessory, this border edger attachment, and free shipping. Use the Mantis for a full year, and if you're not delighted, return it for a prompt, no questions asked refund.
Call 1-800-707-2105 today for a free DVD and information kit. That's 1-800-707-2105.
Attention those on Medicare with diabetes. You may be eligible for an upgraded meter.
If you're tired of stabbing your fingertips to test your blood glucose, we have news that could change your life. If you're on Medicare with diabetes, then you need to know there's an alternative method for checking your blood glucose every day. You don't need to stab your fingertips anymore. The Embrace meter from Diabetes Care Club is easier to use and nearly painless. And the best news is that Diabetes Care Club would love to send you one of these meters. This method hurts less, and because you can see and hear your results, it may be easier to understand.
Your blood glucose reading is 89.
Call now to find out why. Nearly 250,000 patients have joined Diabetes Care Club. Membership is free, so is the call.
Call 1-800-833-8011.
Talk to Diabetes Care Club. You'll be glad you did.
A prayer service for standardized tests is drawing criticism for one Baltimore principal. Jail Yan held the event for 2 years for his elementary and middle school students as a way to, quote, come together as one in prayer and ask God to bless our school to pass the test. The Baltimore Sun reports school officials are investigating the event. They released this statement. While we as a district understand that prayer plays an important role for many in our school communities, it is not appropriate for public institutions of education to promote any particular religious practice. Some parents and even the head of the principals union are defending Yon.
Ken Cuccinelli has been the Attorney General of Virginia for just a year, but in that year he has made big headlines around the nation. Jennifer Wishon has that story.
You may not be able to spell his name, but there's a good chance you've heard of Ken Cuccinelli. His first 100 days in office were enough to secure his place in Virginia and U.S. history. He's a rising conservative who easily gets amens from Tea Party activists and others, and he's not afraid to go head-to-head with Washington.
I do solemnly swear.
I do solemnly swear.
Almost immediately after swearing to uphold the U.S. and Virginia constitutions, Attorney General Cuccinelli started doing battle with the Obama administration, the Environmental Protection Agency, even his alma mater, the University of Virginia. And he's making no apologies.
You know, if they're going to keep breaking the law, we're going to keep punching back.
Just 15 minutes after President Obama signed the controversial health care bill into law, Cuccinelli went to court, filing his lawsuit just blocks from Richmond's St. John's Church, the place Patrick Henry delivered his famous "Give me liberty or give me death" speech 235 years earlier to the day. His lawsuit targets the provision in the law that requires Americans to buy health insurance. A federal judge in Virginia sided with Cuccinelli, ruling the provision is unconstitutional.
It's a great day for the Constitution today.
But the lawsuit is just one of his moves that have attracted national attention. He's also challenged the EPA's plan to regulate greenhouse gases.
These agencies are supposed to be doing good science-based regulation, and that is very much in doubt, I think.
He also demanded the University of Virginia hand over climate change research to determine if the professor behind it relied on inaccurate data when applying for tax-funded research grants. And he reminded the state's colleges and universities that Virginia's state law does not include sexual orientation as a protected class under their non-discrimination clauses.
He's just as good as you are.
Even some of his supporters were disappointed, though, when Cuccinelli chose not to sign on to a recent Supreme Court case against the controversial Westboro Baptist Church that's known for protesting military funerals. But true to form, he says he was standing up for the free speech that's guaranteed in the Constitution, even when it's lousy.
I'm willing to lose. I'm willing to lose political contests. I'm willing to lose elections. And that gets in the way of a lot of other people's pursuit of the agenda they said they ran on. I know why I'm here, and I'm going to pursue it. And the people of Virginia will at some point in the future get another chance to judge whether they appreciate that or not. That's my form of leadership.
Before becoming Virginia's top cop, Cuccinelli served in the state Senate. His conservative principles make him fairly predictable. With Cuccinelli, voters know what they're getting, and they sent him to Richmond with a mandate, giving him more total votes than any other attorney general in Virginia history.
I do think that there's a plan unfolding, and I'm part of it. I'm happy to be part of it. One of my goals for myself is to try to be part of it and not to deny his will as best I can discern it. So.
His Catholic faith helps form his thinking. He says he's yet to come to a conclusion about public policy that isn't fortified by his faith. Despite a busy job with a national following, Cuccinelli says he loves going home to his wife Taro and their 7 children. 5 girls and 2 boys.
She has to get the credit. She works harder than I do. Raising 7 kids is a lot of work.
So what does the future hold for the 42-year-old?
I look forward to the day where the people in my office are bored.
That's not likely to happen anytime soon. Cuccinelli says he'll seek re-election. After all, he says, state attorneys general are the last line of defense against the federal government, and it's a position he's comfortable defending.
We'll see what God's got in mind for us and try to follow the lead as best we can figure it out.
Jennifer Wishon, CBN News.
Raising 7 kids and taking on the federal government.
Oh, I tell
Reminds
you.
me of the Energizer Bunny.
Big job.
We'll be right back.
Millions of women worldwide love Bare Minerals.
This is smooth, it's nice, and it covers. I like that.
Only Bare Minerals looks like beautiful bare skin, while it covers whatever you want it to. And now you can get our latest kit with our totally new, totally spill-proof Click Lock Go foundation. For over 75% off retail, our new kit comes with Bare Minerals foundation in the shade that's just right for you. Warmth for a healthy glow. Mineral Veil, the ultimate finishing touch. And Bare Minerals Flawless Application Brush. Call now and get 3 full-size gifts worth $57.95 free. Purchased separately, you'd spend over $120. Our original Get Started kit was a great deal at 2 payments of $29.99. But now you can get all this for just 1 payment of $29.99. Save over $90 and get a 30-day money-back guarantee.
Call 1-800-376-4174. Ask how you can receive this handy compact. Call 1-800-376-4174 now.
If you have diabetes and you're on Medicare, call now for a new pain-free meter. These new meters are more accurate, they're easier to use, and the best news is you don't have to prick your fingers anymore. Call now and Arriva Medical will send you one of these new meters for free. And if you have Medicare, your testing supplies may also be covered. Arriva makes it simple. They bill Medicare directly. There are no upfront costs. And they deliver your supplies right to your door for free. With these new meters, there's no coding, you don't have to prick your fingers, and some of these meters even talk.
Your blood glucose reading is 122.
And if you call 1-800-284-9762, we will send you a free Betty Crocker Diabetes Cookbook filled with delicious recipes.
Call Arriva today. You'd be glad you did.
Well, prices on everything from food to clothing to gas have been climbing this year.
In fact, some vegetables recently doubled in price, and that has some people returning to the basics to save money.
Prices on the rise along the grocery store aisles. Business is blooming in home garden centers.
I see a higher influx of vegetables, edibles, due to the price fluctuations and the predictions that it's going to skyrocket. So we're looking at doing a very good business on any type of edibles.
Mark Heitschuh says in the past year, he's seen more people turning to gardening to save money. And you can start growing your own garden for as little as $10. There are actually items you can put in the ground today to start growing in your yard.
Onions, broccoli, cauliflower.
Those are cold crop foods, but with starter flats and seeds, you could start growing tomatoes, peppers, and zucchini inside on your kitchen counter.
We plant seeds to start little plants. Anybody can do it. Put them in a windowsill.
It will take 60 to 70 days for most plants to produce something you can eat. But more labor and more time will equal more savings and perhaps fewer trips to the ever-expensive grocery store.
Well, that's going to do it for this hour of the CBN News Channel.
We hope you'll join us next time. Have a great day.
Have you ever had an idea for an invention or new product? Bill Schaefer, one of the inventors of Wham-O's new Splash Wash, did. He came up with the idea while watching his children play one hot summer afternoon. Bill invented a car wash for kids. Ride through it, run through it. InventHelp submitted the Splash Wash to Wham-O, the makers of childhood favorites like the Frisbee, Hula Hoop, and Slip and Slide. If you have an invention you would like to try to patent and submit to corporations and want free information that explains how InventHelp may be able to assist you, call now. InventHelp is America's largest invention company with sales offices in over 50 cities nationwide. Call InventHelp today for free information. Bill Schaefer made a financial gain on the Splash Wash. However, most inventions are not successful, and Bill's experience is not typical of what inventors can expect.
For your free inventor's information, call 1-800-260-7793. That's 1-800-260-7793.
Finding video on CBN.com just got easier. We've taken all our video, the 700 Club, news, testimonies, teachings, plus our 24/7 channels, and put them in one convenient location, CBN TV. Watch what you want, when you want. It's all simple to find. And now, easier than ever to email a story to a friend. CBN TV on CBN.com.